global competitors, and then the other end, which is the value consumer, which is store brands, low-cost brands, etc. So you're fighting both ends. It's been very interesting.
Did you have to fight on the price front as well? Did you have to reduce the prices or perhaps go to a smaller delivery mechanism, smaller packets of sales to ensure that the consumer interest and demand is sustained?
No, we did not reduce our prices. We do not reduce our prices. There are two things that have been done. You talked about the smaller sizes and smaller prices, or low pickup price. I think that is not to do with competition. Most of the categories that we operate in, we are creating the categories. For example, if you take lav care, the household penetration in this country for specialized toilet cleaners less than 21%. So if you really want that consumer to buy, and she is looking for the ultimate toilet cleaner, you've got to give it to her at a price that she's going to buy. So we introduced the 200 ml pack about a few years back, and really invested behind that. So the smaller markets, what I call the semi-urban markets, that's responded very well. And then at the top end, it would be silly to say that one did not have to increase the amount of competitive spend, be it consumer promotions or investment on media. So both ends. Interesting.
It's not just the discerning consumer, the way you are growing, and to get a sense of that, it's also the new consumer. Is it enough to say that you make Dettol and they better buy it? Is it enough to say that you have Cherry Blossom or Harpic, which are again very established brands? When you go to a new consumer in a downturn, or as we talk about the future as well, how difficult is it to convince them that a strong brand means quality, or do they even recognize the brand? Because in some of the tier 2 cities, they may not even care whether Dettol or Cherry Blossom is present. They might be very happy with the products that they had earlier, or they may not even need a product like that.
Are you going to ask me all the marketing strategies of Reckitt Benckiser, or?
As much as I can get out of you.
I think the consumer insight is simple. On the one hand, the consumer needs to be communicated very clearly the reason why she should move from whatever she's using. So let's take a specific example of, let's say, Harpic. The consumer is using either acids or phenyls, or even the detergent out of the wash is putting it into the toilet. What had to be communicated and has to be communicated, and I said earlier that the household penetration for specialized toilet cleaners is just about 21%. What has to be clearly communicated is that if you want a perfect clean, if you want all those marks to go away, the hardware stains, if you want germ protection, if you want all that is absolutely right for your house, for your family, then you better use the right kind of product.
We shall take a short break here. We're going to be talking about the future with Chandar. In just a short while, we'll talk about the new product launches that he has lined up. We'll try to get the maximum out of him. At the same time, we'll talk about how the markets are going to be over the next couple of years as the consumer confidence comes back. Stay with us. We're talking to Chandramohan Sethi, Chairman and Managing Director of Reckitt Benckiser, makes lots of brands, 17 power brands. You must have heard of Colin and Strepsils as well. Of course, big brands like Dettol are also in the fold. Chandra, you were telling us that out of the 17 power brands that you have, 10 are already in India. So my first and the most important question is, when are the rest of the 7 coming in?
The challenge for me is to make sure that whatever we have continues to grow exponentially. And therefore, I need to make sure that the 4 power brands that we've introduced in the last 4 years and finished, that's the 5th one, make them mega. So, it's a journey which goes on and on and on. We are spending huge sums of money on these brands to create the markets. And that's the challenge, creating the markets. When will the others come? They wait their turn.
Chandra, talking about the future, where do you see the growth coming from in the next 2 to 10 years in terms of geographies and product categories?
You know, in the product categories that we operate on, I think we have not even scratched the surface. Every single category, and without any exception. I could talk about depilation, I could talk about laugh cleaning, I could talk about surface, I could talk about, you know, any of these categories. Because the household penetration is so small, and I'm only talking about penetration now, and then consumption is on top of that. So there's going to be a lot of growth. I think the other aspect is, you know, it's India shining. India is the market of the future, there's no doubt on that. I think the secondary markets will grow.